Just wanted to say thank you for taking time out of your day to let me and Jasper interview you.
No worries.
Just jump right in. So, out of all the musicians you have listened to, which one had the most impactful influence on your life?
Which musician had the most impactful influence on my life? That's such a hard question, but I'd have to say probably Bruce Springsteen. I saw a video, there was a VHS, just sitting on the counter when I was a kid. I want to say like 8 years old or something like that. And it was sort of a whole compilation of different things, but there was one video I saw. It was Springsteen playing Rosalita in '73, I think in Phoenix somewhere, and it was a live show. And I remember just seeing it completely mesmerised as a kid, and I think it sort of changed the trajectory of my life at that point. You know, it just looked like so much fun. I couldn't believe it. There was part of me that just woke up, and it was a long time before. You know, it was a decade later before I started playing music full time, kind of thing. But it really put me down the path of songwriting, I'd say. Yeah.
Nice. So swap out. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. A friend told me that they heard you talking about reading myths to your children when they were younger. How has being a parent influenced your musical career?
The myths probably came from my dad and my grandfather on his side. My grandfather on his side was he taught ancient Greek and Latin, and so I heard a lot about the Iliad and the Odyssey and all sorts of stories like that. And my dad's always been pretty dramatic with that sort of thing. And they're great stories. They're amazing stories. I went, compared to the Bible stories I heard at school, they had a lot more mischief and adventure and unpredictability to them. I think that's why I love the myths, is because the gods seem much more human and much more imperfect and fragmented and kind of magical than what the Protestants tried to teach me. The act of being a parent, honestly, being a parent is probably more rock and roll than what I'm about to do tonight in a lot of ways. I've got a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old. And they say what they think and what they mean and what they feel, and there are rock and rollers who strive with every sort of excess that they can handle to get just a little fragment of that id, that impulse, and that's a very musical thing. It's a very refreshing thing to be around. It drives you crazy, but it's love overflowing, So I would say being a parent. A lot of people said, oh, your life's going to change and everything. In some ways that's true, but in another way, all of the things I've loved about music, which is, your glass isn't half empty or full. You want your glass overflowing as much as possible. Kids have brought that sort of, that overflowing feeling to my life more than anything. So being a parent is halfway between holding on and trying to encourage that in them before they get too institutionalized.
Yeah.
Not sure how that answer figures out, but that's the best I got.
Yeah, for sure. What do you hope listeners take away from your music, and how do you connect with your audience through your performances?
What do I hope listeners take away? I hope listeners take away a part of me, or the better part of me that I don't really understand so well myself. And a generosity of life, of life shared at that moment, through music, which is, for me, what music does, is it celebrates being alive with a beautiful collective, chaotic, wonderful, colourful collective of people. In the sun, in the rain, by the moon, by the sea, there is one time that I'm thinking of, one time where one woman did knock me off my feet. And my knees were shaking and my jaw was dropping, and my eyes were squinting and my smile was growing, pants were bulging and my hands were sweating, and my chest was beating, so I cried, "Excuse me, what is the secret to your song?" 'Cause when you're walking alone, your legs are a melody, my hands would like to play on your hips, so I know that they take me away. Your face and your eyes and your hair and your waist and your smile drive me to distraction. She turned and she gave the evil eye. Well, thank you, she said, then she sighed. Oh, there's one thing I think I failed to mention. What? I said, and she said, it's the rhythm, you forgot it right there. I knew what was what, and she snapped to my lips and she kissed them. She said, young man, I'll show you some rhythm. How to connect with an audience? Well, firstly, by trying to write good songs and trying to perform them well. That's the first thing you've got to do. Being with a band, in my case, that you trust and that you love and that you feel confidence from and a kind of a deep connection with. And then with an audience, eye contact is really important. It sounds really simple, but actually that feeling of being connected to the room and to the collective of everyone being there, but also you can have a very loving moment with someone who you've never met before by making eyes, and there's all sorts of subtleties in that, and at that point you two know a secret. Neither of you know exactly what it is, but you both know a secret, you know, about each other, about yourself, about that broad thing, and to celebrate that and not to deny that beautiful aspect of eye contact between humans is probably the first way that I connect with an audience, is to try and find someone and to share a secret with them, you know, in the context of a beautiful, colourful experience. After that, it's listening really well to the musicians around you. It's having a sense of grandeur and of excess and of celebration. It's back to that life celebration thing, I think, and trying to dig deep. The last thing I'll say is, you know, we had a mantra on the recent tour that we're on in Europe and the UK with the Cat Empire, and it's to leave blood on the stage. You know, it became almost a song. Leave some blood on the stage. That's what you want to do. So you go that extra mile, you know, and leave a part of yourself out there, whatever that may mean, regardless of whether it's aggressive or peaceful music. That doesn't matter. It's just go to that place where you don't know yourself so well and leave a part of yourself there. Yeah.
One more. Do you think that music has the power to change the world? And if so, why and how?
I think music. Well, how do I answer this question? Yes, I think music changes the world all the time. You know, there are different levels to that question. There's amazing political music. There's music that can, you know, potentially create paradigm shifts within a person. And there's also just the unexplainable feeling of music, which is, I'm not sure if it changes the world or not, but it certainly makes the world a more nourishing and unpredictable and wonderful place to be, you know. So it's a strange thing to think about. I don't like to think about music in sort of objective terms, like, oh, if people hear this song, then they'll change this, and I don't think about music like that, really. Even though I'm involved in projects that are quite political or you know, active in a social sense, I think music in its experience at that point is really about being in life and not trying to change the world at all, but to be in the motion of what the world is and what a connection with people is. And if music doesn't do that in the first place, then no objective change will happen after that. So I think the beauty of music and the beauty of the experience of being in music and not trying to think about change too much is the most important aspect of it. And then after that, all sorts of things can happen from there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time.
That's all right,
really
Jasper.
appreciate
No stress at all. I enjoyed your questions very much.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.